So this evening I'd like to share with you what I've found over the last couple of years. While sports psychology is my background, over the last few years my real interest has been to understand world-class people, what differentiates world-class performers, what separates them from people who aren't world-class, and actually what differentiates a world-class leader or a world-class team or world-class organisations. And they do things differently, they think differently. So we're going to discover how organisations like these actually answer the question, how do we recruit talent? I'll tell you what it's not. I'll tell you what these guys don't do. They don't recruit according to CVs. They don't get a bunch of CVs in and they don't shortlist those CVs and then have a couple of interviews and maybe run some psychometrics and then appoint somebody. They don't do that. They may use some of those things some of the time, but that's not the way they recruit their people. And yet, when I look around businesses, look in most sectors, that's exactly the way they recruit people, but it's not the way world-class organisations do it. So tonight we're going to have a look at what those differences are. This guy got selected in the 17th round of the draft. He was the kid at the end of the queue who nobody really wanted to pick. He was the 199th overall choice. And yet he became the best. I don't look at where they finish, I look at how they train. Now, if we want to recruit people who we think might go on to become world-class talent, we need to start looking for little clues. What might they do? What are the signs that tell us these people think that way? These people are likely to make those decisions. How do they review their performance? Are they willing to ask themselves the tough questions? What happens when somebody else asks them a tough question? Do they back away from it, or do they actually engage with it? Do they take responsibility? Or do you hear the words, well, you know, I couldn't really because it was X, because it was Y? Do they focus on the process, or are they tied up in the result? When do they compromise? And when do they say, no, I'm not willing to compromise? And when they hit those really tough challenges, how do they respond? What do they do? What do you hear from them? And so it starts to give us the understanding that world-class organisations genuinely recruit on character. They want to know what people are like. They recruit people first, and I've worked for sports teams who are very, very deliberate about recruiting people first and players second. Interestingly, what all of these organisations have done is they've become what I think of as a magnet for talent. But you don't have to be the world's elite in order to be a magnet for talent. How does that then apply onto salespeople? How does it apply to leaders? What does great look like? How would we actually know a great salesperson? And I'm not talking about qualifications or skills or what's on the CV or where they worked last or experience or anything like that. I'm not even talking about sales figures that they've had. How would you know one if you were watching them at work? What would tell you actually this person's really, really good? Their processes are good. They're a learner, they're a developer. What if we followed the same sorts of rules and patterns that the greatest recruiters in the world, the organisations, best organisations in the world, what would happen then? So I'm going to leave you with that little thought to chew over. Thank you very much.